Hello, everybody. Have I got an incredibly exciting episode for you today. My guest, I met, I was trying to figure it out. It could be 7 or so years ago, 8. I'm not exactly sure. But when I met her, she told me she was going to win a Grammy. And you know what? She has. Nicole Zuraitis is an American jazz vocalist, pianist, composer, arranger, and she's a 2024 Grammy winner for Best Vocal Album in Jazz. Please say hello to Nicole Zuraitis.
Hello, hello.
It is so funny and amazing and wonderful to see you here today because I have enjoyed your energy since the day we met. You gave a speech. We were both at a women's conference. And I just remember saying, this woman rocks. And she told me she's going to win a Grammy. And I bet she will because there was such conviction in the way you said it to me.
Man, the feeling is mutual. The feeling is mutual. I met you and I said, wow, what a force of nature with such kindness and joy. And that's probably why I had the audacity to say something like that, because I don't think I ever said it after that.
Really?
Until it was coming up on being closer to releasing my album where I said, I better shift my mindset. And so you might have been the first time I ever said to somebody and trusted someone enough to say, I believe that maybe I could win a Grammy.
Oh, no, I don't think you said believe. It was very definitive. And since I come from, I've had tons of psychology and hypnosis kind of training where, I'm a big believer. The thoughts somebody puts in your mind are what tends to come out. Not all the time, crap happens in the world without a doubt. But we really can shape so much of what happens in our lives with a lot of hard work. We can think about something, and I'm never going to stand on the grand ballroom stage or the Hammerstein stage here and sing. And I'm certainly not going to accept an award for a Grammy singer. But you did. So not only did you visualize it, you put steps in motion.
True.
So I would love to hear how some of those steps unfolded. How did you get to where you are today and and then we'll talk about where you're going, because I know we're only at the tip of, not even at the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I have chills when you say that because I really didn't even understand the power of visualization until I would say August 2023. My album it's called How Love Begins. I wrote and arranged the entire thing, and I funded it by getting a grant and getting private donors and patrons to help me bring the album to fruition. And it had released in July 2023, and I had been rejected by a major jazz label just maybe 8 or so months before. And so I was fully on my own and going, wow, I'm going to try and pay a publicist, but I really believe in this album. But in August 2023, this gentleman, a friend of mine from Germany, came to see me at the Red Eye Grill, which is a piano bar across from Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
And that's where I met the producer of How Love Begins, my album, Mr. Christian McBride, who's a 9-time Grammy-winning bassist, legendary bassist, and a writer, composer. And so that background gig at the Red Eye Grill had already changed my life because I was always getting paid to practice. And so even though
way to look at your gigs,
wow. And people would say, how come you're playing, at the Red Eye Grill? Everyone's ignoring you. They're on their phones. They're yelling across the table. They're having steak. You're taking requests that aren't part of your brand. I said, no, it's fantastic. It's so nice to be there. And so I was there.
Because I'm getting paid to practice. I love that attitude. That's a game-changing attitude.
Truly. So many people thought that they were above like background music. And I'm going, no, it strengthened my instrument and strengthened my piano chops, my time.
Concentration.
It's concentration.
That's a fierce statement. I was getting paid to practice.
I'm so glad.
Yes. Wow. Love that.
Yes, I was that's what is happening. And this fan that I had met at the 55 bar in New York from Germany comes and he sat down and he said, Nicole, when you sing, there's something that pierces through my soul. What do you want? What do you want? And I said, I don't know. I'm afraid to say what I want because that means that I can fail. And that terrified me so much for most of my musical career. And mind you, I was 38 years old at that point, but I had just gotten my MBA, my Master's of Business, which we can talk about later. So I knew about goals, but I still wasn't quite sure that I should say them out loud. And he said, you have got to visualize what you want. What do you want? I said, well, it would be really nice to be nominated for a Grammy. He's like, what does that look like? I said, I don't know. What does that look like? He's like, well, you've been nominated before without trying for it. This time you want it. What does it look like? And so I started thinking about what it looked like to see my name and where. He's like, where will you be when it happens? I started thinking about that.
Oh, he's good.
He was really good. And he was like, what will it feel like? And I was like, I don't know. These are so terrifying. He's like, you must do this because you're powerful. You must do this. And for someone who, essentially reeks of insecurity for her entire life, I'm going, wow, this is something that is frightening to me, but I'm going to do it anyways. And so I just started to visualize it. And I had my plan that I made from my MBA through my friend, Steve. And we had all of who, what, where, when, who needed, all the things that needed to happen in order for me to get to this next point of my career. But I kept seeing what was going to happen. And when I was nominated, it's like I had seen it before. And that is so, I still have
I've got
chills.
goosebumps too.
It was
you
so.
transferred those goosebumps to me.
It just blew my mind into smithereens, absolute smithereens. And I'm now still thinking, my husband and I, we had our big band, our Best Large Jazz Ensemble, win a Grammy this past February. And I even got my husband, Dan, to start doing that. And he, he's a little more, he wasn't quite jumping on the boat. But then when he would watch me start to fall, go, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. He go, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. And so it's just, whatever it is, it changed my life. And there's so many other steps that happen with it. But yeah, it really changed my life to actually see myself have a moment of success instead of just kind of floating around hoping. Yeah.
How'd you choose jazz? Or did jazz choose you?
Well, I loved theater growing up. And I had a big voice, but I wasn't the stereotypical like ingenue, I wasn't a starlet as a child. I played the trombone. I tried to play the piano, but I couldn't focus long enough to finish the lessons. It was just so silly. But I love to sing, but I couldn't physically make my voice do what I wanted to do, which was sing like Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. I couldn't sing like either of them, and there was a vibe. But then I was introduced to Ella Fitzgerald, and I found that there was a connection between the Great American Songbook and musical theater. And as I did more research, I was like, oh, well, the jazz was the pop music of back in the day, but more importantly, it came from theater. So the Gershwins would write musicals, and then they would have some of those songs become jazz standards, and then they were popular. It was just this whole beautiful thing. So what I also loved about jazz is that there was the element of improvisation. And so I didn't know it at the time, but I was a songwriter and a budding songwriter. I didn't write my first song until I was 20 years old. But as I was a budding...
pretty young.
Ish, except now you see people like Billie Eilish writing songs at like 12, like gigantic hits. But I was terrified to sing my songs out loud because I was so embarrassed of what I had to say. And now that I'm 40 and
arranging, composing,
and writing,
singing,
doing the whole
playing.
thing, it's more of I'm just going, okay, I have something to say now. I have a story to tell, as opposed to when I was younger going, I don't think I want my mom to hear what I have to say. But I digress. So then the improvisatory part of jazz was really appealing to me. I couldn't believe that I could just make up my own melody on top of what was already there. And so I kind of fell in love with jazz.
Wait a second. I have to ask you a question.
Sure.
Because I remember thinking about this, about my first things I wrote. I didn't want my mother to see it. And then I found out my mother was reading everything I wrote. So what was the angst that was coming out in your first songs?
Back then, I think...
Or emotion and exposure.
I don't even remember what I was writing about, but I think perhaps it was really like young love or unrequited heartbreak or just like writing about being anxious and in the world. And I would just swallow the words on stage. Whenever we got to a song I wrote, I would suddenly, mumble them and people would say, I don't know what you're saying. And I did that well into my early 30s. People say, I don't understand what you're saying when you sing your own songs. I say, well, I don't really want you to know what I'm saying. And I don't know when the shift happened, maybe just realizing that, there's something to be said for a life that you've lived. And the older I got, the more I had more faith in my own words. So how did it change for you?
It's funny. You reminded me when you said you mumbled your own words. At one point, years ago, I was selling cars and I was really good at it. But it took me a while to get to be really good at it because I used to take my pencil. This is my glasses, I realized. But I used to take my pencil and drop it on the ground and say, so would you like to buy the car? Because I couldn't bring myself to look at someone, even though I knew I had shown them every detail of that car. I had them convinced it was the car they should buy. But I couldn't actually confront that ask, which is kind of what you reminded me of when you said, here, I know I wrote this song. It's beautiful. I love it. But I have to share it with someone now. It's a funny feeling, that exposure, that vulnerability.
And so much of my entire career has been wait for the ask. And that's why I consider myself a late bloomer because I never was pushy because I didn't believe in myself enough to be pushy. I just knew that I was creating something that was unique, but I didn't have at least the internal tools to push for it. I figured someone would find it.
Can we clarify that a little? I didn't want to be pushy. I think there's a difference between asking, knowing I've worked hard for something, and being willing to, I view it as you're offering it to someone. That's what I learned over the years. Like when I grew my business, let's say my consulting business, and people wanted to hire me, the more confident I got, the more I charged, number one. But it was that I knew I was worth it. So that's not being pushy to me when you say to somebody, well, I would like this.
Right. Well, I completely agree with that statement. And I think for me, I didn't feel like I had anything really to offer yet. So I couldn't offer. And so I was waiting for someone to say,
she's got it.
She's got it. And then the hard lesson was that I had to just continually hone my craft. If you listen back to my first album, I took it off most streaming platforms because I was like, wow, that came out. It's a snapshot, but should I have been launched as the next Diana Krall? No, definitely not. Like I listened to that and go, okay, yeah, you weren't a child prodigy. It's fine.
That's how I feel about my first book when I go back, but I published it without an editor. I'm like, when someone says, oh, I found one of your early books, I'm like, oh, cringe factor. How bad could this get?
Exactly. And don't you think there's so much beauty in the journey of it? But we've been conditioned to think that like, oh, unless you're a prodigy and it just comes out of you on a silver platter, then no, it definitely didn't happen with me. I was learning, I was humiliating myself. The way that I started to play the piano on gigs in New York City was I arrived, I was an opera singer for a long time. That's neither here nor there, but when I decided to come back to New York and be a full-time jazz singer, I was auditioning for wedding bands. And those wedding bands, I was wearing glasses and kind of awkward. And they would say, okay, can you dance for us? Oh, okay, I could kind of dance. I would kind of stumble around the stage. And they say, can you be like sexy and dance and sing? I was like, oh, I don't know. This makes me uncomfortable. And so I would spot a piano, and I spotted a piano. I said, I can play the piano kind of. And so I started to play really poorly, Journey's Don't Stop Believing in the wrong key with the wrong chords. And they were like, you're hired. So I was fueling this belief that I wasn't good enough by being hired to do things I wasn't qualified to do. So, I'm like suddenly playing the piano in the Plaza Hotel with 14 violinists, and I can barely keep up. So I had to learn how to play my instrument in front of people. So that just kind of continually delayed my own self-worth. But because...
Well, that's an interesting perception. That it delayed your self-worth. See, I would look at it as it actually elevated it because you were in situations where you were finding out, I'm not drowning, I can actually swim.
Correct. That's really interesting because I was drowning. However...
But you didn't drown.
But I didn't, because I still kept the jobs.
Yeah.
And I would get callbacks to do it, and people would see the potential.
Yes.
And so I didn't just...
Because you didn't quit.
I didn't quit.
You didn't
I never
quit. You kept...
Exactly. That's so
you
brilliant.
kept stepping into those situations that... And getting invited into them.
Correct. Yeah. Wow.
And being willing to go.
Being willing to make mistakes in front of...
In public.
Public. Yeah. Trying to change that perception of that people had of me when I was learning was also a journey. But I really love that you pointed out that I didn't quit, because I think that's the one thing that I know that I have is like grit.
Yes.
To just continue on despite keep on rolling. I kept rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling, and then...
And surrounding yourself with, I always say, I've had a couple of successful businesses that I built and sold, but it really wasn't me. It was who I surrounded myself with. And when I would say to someone, especially like the early financial sheets, I'd say, I can't read this, and someone wouldn't believe it. Right. But I mix up numbers all day long. Nobody lets me take a phone number for them. But I would surround myself with someone who was so good at it. And then suddenly, once I would get less nervous, I was mixing up the numbers less, And so it's a comparable kind of thing, but you really put yourself in challenging situations where a lot of people wouldn't have taken that shot. Yeah. They would have waited till they thought they were ready.
Correct. Or they would have quit right after the first humiliation.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I remember being pointed out in one of my first ever wedding gigs. They're like, now let me hear the organ. Oh, ride, Sally, ride. And then they pointed at me, and like 400 people looked at me, and my piano was off because I didn't know how to play it. And I just like suddenly put the volume up, and I was like, I just did a glissando down the piano, and it just was, I still get red. I'm like, as red as my shirt thinking about that. But then I would come home, and my now husband, who's also my musical collaborator, Dan Pugach, I would cry to him, and he goes, well, go practice. Go practice how to play that now. And I would just sit playing all these wedding music songs, and people who snub their nose at that would go, wow, just sitting up back there playing, glorified, yacht rock. And I'm going, no, I'm learning how to craft internally some of the best songs ever written that stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And so again, with the paid practice, I also saw it as like I'm being paid to understand what good songwriting looks like. And what good groove, and what makes a song timeless, and what makes a song stand through eternity as something that people want to hear.
What a great takeaway.
Yeah.
What a great perspective to look at a situation and draw the absolute best from it.
It was the only way to kind of block out the noise. There's a lot of noise when you're a musician, especially if you're
I want to change that phrase too in your mind. It wasn't the only way. It was Nicole's way.
I'm so glad I came here to talk to you.
It was Nicole's way. Nicole said no. I'm getting paid to learn. I'm getting paid to study composition of a song. I'm getting paid to understand what it takes to have a song that came out in the 50s and everyone still wants to get up on a dance floor, and shout.
I should literally,
Whatever. First one I thought of.
legit a perfect example. Unchained Melody.
Yeah.
So every time
Yes.
I would play it, I get chills. I don't care.
Yeah.
I do not. It's someone's most special day. I would get choked up at every
I
single
still get
event.
choked up.
I know.
And why? But you've studied that.
Now I studied it. I'm trying to write those songs now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to write them. I have not written them yet, but I'm trying, because I see the formula.
Yeah.
And just from doing that for so many years, which is exciting.
Wow. And I admire the way you're breaking it down, because one of the things I'm sure you've heard countless times, it's like, I happen to love the song by AC/DC, It's a Long Way to the Top If You Want to Rock and Roll. I could recite the words. I won't torture anyone's ears singing it unless I'm alone in a car. But I love it because nobody gives credit, especially now with the internet or different things. Everyone thinks they're all going to be the overnight rock star.
Right.
Nobody gives credit to those incredible amount of hours you spent alone practicing, rehearsing, reconsidering, redoing,
Right.
rewriting, starting from scratch, because it's a long way
Yeah.
to where you arrived and are still going.
Especially with the what we call the 90-second phenomenon among musicians and young musicians. All they have to do is perfect up to 90 seconds. Oh, 90-second phenomenon, not 90 minutes. Sorry, 90
No,
seconds.
you said second.
I second. Okay.
Mhm.
They have to perfect 90 seconds of something, and it can go viral, and then they feel that they have done the work. But then I say, can you do it for 90 minutes?
Yeah.
Can you do it for 90 minutes 4 times? I used to play 5-hour background gigs at Mastro's Steakhouse in Manhattan, which I called the Cave of Doom, because it was so dark, and we played to track, and it was just the most wild gig. But what I was so thankful for was I was being paid to practice, but also to play music.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my goal. And the way I thought about my whole career, speaking of goals, is I set tiny little goals on a ladder.
Mm-hmm.
My first goal was, okay, don't work at Sarah Beth's anymore as a hostess. Try and get into a wedding band and keep teaching. Okay, great. Now, how about no more of the teaching and just do music? Oh, wow, we're doing that. How about do the weddings, but also do some artistic gigs around the city? Great. And so each step, I would bring more steps to the ladder.
I love that approach.
Yeah, and it's a slow burn. It's such a marathon, not a sprint mentality, because I'm really taking the steps. But that's what felt safe to me, and also made me feel like I had something to offer because I had done the work. Because if I lived within the 90-second TikTok thing, then back then, which we didn't have it back then, I would just put something out, and if I would throw it out the wall and it didn't stick, then I would quit. I'd be like, well, that's it. I'm not good enough. But I don't know. I just always had this healthy dose of competition and stubbornness that just said, yeah, keep climbing. They said, no, keep going. Keep going.
You used a phrase, I don't know what it is. You said you were performing to track.
Oh,
What does that mean?
That means that we would download backing tracks with fake drums and fake bass.
Oh my gosh. And you have to keep your timing with
And
that?
we would play along with those tracks, and then sometimes we would stream them from YouTube. It was hard, and the commercials would come on in the restaurant of 500 people. Oh my gosh! And then it was super wild. But again, if you put the positive spin on it, you just said it. The time. I had to play in time, so I was improving my time as I played those shows, and yeah, I think putting the positive spin on realizing I'm making music for a living made me never feel like I was any less of a musician just because I was playing a track.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. You think about the track and then timing, and then I think of a metronome. And I've spoken to lots of musicians over the years, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm fine, just don't put that metronome on." I got this. Get the metronome out of here.
That's so funny. I'm married to a drummer, so the metronome is in me.
Oh my gosh. So you're playing at clubs, you're working on your chops, you're getting paid to practice, you're getting paid to understand song compositions.
Right.
How does this keep unfolding for you?
Well, eventually when I was 30, I started to apply to competitions. I would rip the Band-Aid off. And I was 29 years old, and my husband Dan had just won a ASCAP Herb Alpert Young Jazz Composers Award. Huh. And back then I had just gotten home from teaching in India, where I was teaching at a jazz school, and as usual, not feeling like I fully fit into the jazz box. And he said, "Why don't you apply for that?" I said, "I won't get it." He said, "Just apply." And I got it. And I said, "Wow, that's not too shabby for an opera singer. That's interesting." So then I applied to the American Traditions competition, which is a big vocal competition here. And I got in and got to the semifinals. I was like, "Oh, interesting." And I started to think, is this like a Pavlov's dog moment? Am I training myself to believe in myself by getting external validations, by getting a treat from these competitions? Maybe, but maybe this is good because I'm putting myself out there. And then
maybe it's just what happens from putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I'm going. The validation is kind of what you need if you're selling yourself. Mm-hmm. Being a musician is so lonely because you're selling you and your music, and come to my show, buy tickets to my thing. That's why I started doing so much activism within my art, just so I can just be like, it's not only about me. I want to speak up for the voiceless, like anything that's not just me. We're inherently always talking about us. But as I was getting success, but also incredible amount of rejection in the competitions or whatever, I just was doing every type of music as possible. I was in a folk band. I was in a vocal harmony trio. My husband has a big band. I started singing with the Birdland big band in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I think, was the turning point for me, because that same Red Eye Grill that I mentioned, the background gig, one of the wait staff had said to me, "Can you give me voice lessons?" And this was in 2016. So he started coming to our apartment in Brooklyn. I gave him voice lessons. And then in 2017, he said, "I know Jim Caruso at Birdland. He runs an open mic every Monday at Cast Party. Do you want to come?" And I said, "I'm not really a jazz singer. Because I was a little traumatized from all sorts of, like I said, learning in front of people." And he said, "No, I really think that you should come." So I didn't tell him at the time that I had done Cast Party when I first moved to the city in like 2012. And I would bomb every time, and I just was like, I can't go back. So I went back and I sang Carole King's "I Feel the Earth Move" instead of a jazz song. And when I got off stage, someone offered me a show in Austin, Texas. I said, "Wow, okay, I should probably come back here. It seems like this is a really nice, it's a famous club." Again, come back the next week. And they didn't remember me, and there were so many people, and I was dead last, and the whole club had closed out. It was like 12:45, and I sang "The Nearness of You," a little slow, like a slow medium tempo. When I got off stage, the assistant snarkily said to me, "You're supposed to sing something up tempo," and I was like, "Oh, that hurts so much." And then all of a sudden I hear, "Where have you been?" And it's the owner. And the owner...
I'm getting goosebumps again. From the snarky to the owner, "Where have you been?"
Yeah. And I go, "Wait.
Wow.
What do you mean?" He's like, "I want you next week to come here. I want you to learn the Birdland big Birdland Big Band book, and I want you to sing with them next week, memorized. And I said, oh, okay, sure, Johnny. And so I learned in a week all these Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Peggy Lee charts.
Oh my
And with
gosh.
no rehearsal, got in front of a sold-out stage at Birdland with an 18-piece orchestra and auditioned. And when I got off stage, she said, great, you're now a part of the Birdland Big Band. And I said, oh my goodness.
Wait a second. You had a week
I had a week to learn it.
to learn all these?
And no rehearsal.
And you just got on
just to learn it
stage
by
with...
ear.
That's, to me, the magic of musicianship that always leaves me in awe.
And that's from playing all those weddings. And I was just so it was easy for me to learn music because I was training myself to learn music every week for all those different weddings and like saturate that. I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I know I can probably hear the bridge to some random song.
Oh my gosh.
So that changed my life. And that was...
So you're just standing on stage and you can hear the bridge and you know, okay, now I come in again.
Yeah.
But you never rehearsed it.
Never rehearsed it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's just awesome.
I feel music kinesthetically. I feel it like in my body. So I know what everything feels like in my brain and in my voice and all that stuff. So I did that. Got the gig. He started giving me more shows at Birdland. And again, that voice in my head that's going, am I a jazz singer? Is going, maybe I am a jazz singer. The Pavlov's dog gave me a treat, said, look, you're doing the thing. And then I guess the thing that really changed the course for us is I had been singing Jolene since 2008 when I got my heart broken. And I had arranged it in this really dark, melancholic way. And then my husband recorded it and blew up our arrangement for his 10-piece ensemble on his album. And my friend Surreal M.A. had said, do you want to join the Recording Academy? And I said, yeah, sure. I didn't know I can. I didn't know independent artists can be part of the Recording Academy. She said, yeah. So I joined. And then I said, can I submit my music to the Grammys? She said, yeah. I was like, really? I don't have to have a big label or anything? No, you can submit it. So we submitted our arrangement of Jolene. And that's it. We just put it into the ballot. And that's it. We didn't. And then we woke up December 2018 to a Grammy nomination for Best Arrangement. After we had...
I love this.
We wanted to quit.
love this story.
Thank you for asking. It's like, oh my God.
I love this story.
It's pretty
so
wild.
inspiring.
It's just, you never know when it's going to come. You never know. And yeah, so that was wild.
But again, you put it out there.
Yeah, I said, I discovered, I created my own luck.
Yeah.
Created my own luck.
Created your own luck throughout your whole life. This is the story.
That's the story. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't know I could be part of the Recording Academy. And I researched it and I said, well, I guess, what's stopping me? Yeah. And then during the pandemic, that was really tricky because we're a full musician couple.
Right.
But I ended up getting my MBA and slogged through that. It was really hard for me because school was never easy and I forgot. Music's easy. School, not so much. But it helped me realize the importance of like mapping out time-sensitive goals and like delegating out and thinking about music as a business as opposed to just hope. And
What was the MBA in? What were you studying?
entrepreneurship.
Okay.
Yep. So essentially being a
Which
musician.
aligns with being a musician.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the end of the story is that the world came back and then I made my album. I shot my shot with Christian.
This is just, let me say, this is definitely not the end of the story.
Oh, no.
So the next way the story unfolded.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I'm skipping many things, but I shot my shot with Christian McBride. I was really struggling to get anyone to take me. No manager, no booking agent, no label. And I just put the blinders on and said, I actually believe that this is good. And the way that I was able to believe in myself was by doing what any normal business person would do, is like, look at the competition. I would listen to the competition and I would A and B it to what I was doing. And I would say, okay, well, this is being successful. So what can I make that is uniquely mine, that is along the same lines, to see if I can also sit on that Spotify playlist.
Mm-hmm.
So I was writing music by A being who I was looking up to and being like, well, if that's working for them, let me try that. And then I told you the story about the sweet German man who helped me. And then next thing you know, we're nominated. And then the whole nominated process leading up into the Grammy win for How Love Begins for Best Jazz Vocal Album, which is the first time ever an artist wrote and arranged the album themselves in that category, male or female. When I won, I was so stunned. And I also caught a lot of flack. A lot of flack.
I was just speaking with someone about this, so I want to hear both. Let's start with the stunned, and let's go to the flack, because it's not uncommon.
Yes, this, maybe we can delve into that, because I was so surprised, because the way I've always behaved as a person, especially in music, is like community, bring people together, find ways to let people in, be authentic, be genuine, be kind. Don't be a gatekeeper.
Yep. Has
been my whole life. And when I won, I was like, wow, the community has supported me. I felt like I was on a wave of love. But then it turns out I just really upset the system.
Submitted this herself, no label. She's writing it. She's composing it.
I didn't come up.
Some piano probably in there.
Oh my gosh!
Arranging.
I thought that was going to be my key into. Okay, great. Now I'll be on the cover of the jazz magazines, and it'll be one big happy family, and it'll just be so exciting because. Now
you did it.
I did it. I did it. And my peers, the Recording Academy is peer voted recognition. It cannot be bought. It is only based on listening. And my peers chose me, and I was just so moved by that. But it was kind of the opposite. I was met with complete silence from the jazz world. Complete silence. No
interviews,
no accolades. I was taken off Sirius XM.
What?
Yeah, I was taken off all because of rumors that could not have been more true, because people could not wrap their heads around the fact that a woman had won a Grammy by her own merit, talent, and by the voting body of the Recording Academy. And I went into kind of a little dark spiral for a couple months afterwards, going, why
the silence?
Why the silence?
Yeah.
And the people that I was nominated against, who I had looked up to my whole life, not a word from them. Not a word from them of congratulations. If anything, the opposite. And that, I talk about it now.
Hurtful.
Yeah, I talk about it freely now, because I realized
you don't have to protect them.
That I don't need to protect them. And in fact, people should know.
People should know. People should know.
Not a word from these people who I looked up to my entire life. And so rather than putting my head in the sand, I dug my feet in so much harder. And I started thinking about, how can I create my own lane even more? Like, the lane is there. How can I create the lane? So I started thinking about, well, I'm a jazz songwriter. What do I want to call that? I'm going to call it modern songbook. I'm going to create an entire genre for jazz songwriters, so that all the songwriters can have a community where people can find songs written by people who are alive to be sung by incredible singers who are interpreters of songs. So like that's my way of being like, okay, I'll just keep making my own community. But the silence was truly shocking. And the rumor mill was so offensive and so wrong.
Yeah.
And with no with literally no footing. And then I won a Grammy again the next year. So like, what are you going to say? Seriously. Like,
So back-to-back Grammys
is it a fluke
within
or is she a force?
complete silence.
Yeah. The fluke or the force? I was like, can
You're
you just
force.
acknowledge the force thing, please?
Yeah.
And just acknowledge that maybe.
The effort, the time, the commitment, the talent,
Yeah.
the work. I mean, seriously, the creativity, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
it's remarkable to me because I work with a few people who, are very talented in whether a business career or entertainment. And somebody I know has a very successful that I work with has a very successful movie out.
Right.
And he said, crickets. From all the people I have known, crickets.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hear this a lot.
Jealousy is a wild thing.
It really is. And, I have a 21-year-old son and a 25-year-old daughter, and I always say to them, listen, there's so much room for excellence in the world. There's so much room to make money. There's so much room, but you just have to stay on your own journey and do it.
Right.
Because people will help you to a certain degree. And then as soon as they have that sense of that, well, they might be passing me, they drop you like, you're a hot potato.
It's so true.
Or pull the seat when it's your turn to sit down if you're playing musical chairs. Whatever it is, that's support. But I always say those are the people that are below you most of the time, because most of the people above you will continue to reach their hand down. But in your case, it's so fascinating to me because there were people, I think it's that, when you cross multiple boundaries, when you say, I didn't need this entire team to get this done, and I got it done.
Right.
I was just as something that really surprised me the other day, I saw statistics just because since starting this podcast, and it's doing extremely well, and it's really exciting, and I love Manhattan Center. And one of the things that really surprised me, you pick different people to watch, whether you like their content, but you admire it, one way or another. So I admire, let's say, Joe Rogan or Megyn Kelly because they're blowing the numbers away. Right. And I saw a statistic the other day that all of, I think it was, I don't remember which station, one of the major stations on YouTube, like one of the TV stations, all their episodes that they air on YouTube hit like 145 million downloads, whereas she, with her 6-person team, hit 157 million. I'm like, that's an accomplishment, but that's a threat.
It is.
Because that's a lot of people that weren't involved in the process.
Wow. Yes.
And that's what you represent. You represent, I was willing to wear multiple hats. Nobody takes into credit or account the amount of times you didn't sleep because you probably woke up in the middle of the night working on that arrangement.
Oh, 100%.
Or practicing in the shower and every place else, your vocal to make sure you could hit the arrangement you wrote.
Or making sure that I wrote the email or sent the message or advanced the show. It's like all the admin stuff. Yeah, I was not sleeping. It was a little bit unhealthy. And everything was kind of falling apart at the same time, but I still had that one goal, so I kept powering through. But yeah, I guess the threat thing it really surprised me. It shocked me to my core. But
has that iceberg melted at all?
Yes.
Is any heat coming over in Nicole's direction? Because otherwise, boy, am I going to get on this one and get it.
I know. Yes and no. I think my husband said it best, and it helps me sleep at night. He said, if someone doesn't like you, Nicole, it's because they haven't met you yet.
Oh, that's very true.
And I was like, that is so beautiful. And I have to just sit with that. It means that he's like, because you believe in the goodness of people. You believe in people's inherent goodness. You're not, you know, there's no reason for any of these people who might be, I don't know, intimidated or threatened by someone else's
Threatened,
ascension, jealous.
Yeah.
They just have to meet me
Recognizing their limitations or lack of commitment.
to know. Correct.
Because that's what it is. You know, when I hate to say it, but the minute I get angry at something, you know, my mother drilled it into me, Diane, take a good look at yourself. What are you angry at?
Oh, I love that.
You know, and it's usually, okay, they tried a little harder. They figured something out that I didn't. They, you know, probably practiced more, or they rehearsed better than I did. It's something.
Yeah, when they see something in you that they cannot, that they know they don't have within themselves, that makes someone very jealous. But if someone was to meet me or you, I would, even if they gave me that energy, I would still be like, hey, come over here.
Yeah.
Let me make you spaghetti. Why don't we make a project together? You know, let's make art. Let's do the thing. So I'm trying really hard to like live in that space where I acknowledge that I broke it through something with the blessing and of the academy. You know, it's not that I did it alone. I had thousands of people that were like, yes. And I had one really important moment, which kind of put to rest that little piece of doubt that was bothering me from all of the haters that I had.
Yeah.
And all the silence. I was at an event just a few months ago, and I saw this wonderful pianist that I found through Instagram. She was young. And I went up to her and I said, hi, I'm on the board here. And I want you to know that, you know, I'm also a woman in the music industry and you are a phenomenal talent. And if you ever need a friend or an ear, here's my card. You know, call me anytime. I know what it's like to be a woman in the industry, whatever. And this woman next to her goes, a little protectively, was like, oh, who are you? And I said, oh, I'm Nicole Zuraitis. And she goes, oh, I know you. And she introduced herself as one of the higher ups at one of the most gigantic labels for jazz and beyond. Has some of the greatest artists ever. And I was like, wow, this person. So I said, wow, I know you, of course. Like you run that label. And she goes, well, how's it going since you won? I said, it's been great. It was, and I made a mistake, or I know you would catch me. I said, it was, you know, kind of a miracle. And she said, it was not a miracle, Nicole. I was on the screening committee. We all unanimously agreed that you won by merit and that you unanimously won. And I was like,
goosebumps.
Wow. I'm
so happy.
Tearing
I
up.
bet.
I was like, I just needed to hear that from somebody.
Yeah.
From one of the gatekeepers. I just needed to hear it from one person that wasn't like a friend.
Yeah.
It's someone that wasn't a friend.
Right.
She didn't have to tell me that.
Yeah.
She could have taken the digs. Like there's so many digs that come when you're trying to ride high. Yeah. And I feel uncomfortable in the acknowledgement of doing something great. But having someone...
Well, I'll just say I bow in honor of your commitment to excellence, because it's mind-blowing. And it really is. You know, I always hate that clock above your head because time is not on our side for any more of this episode.
Oh, no.
And isn't that hard to believe? I mean,
I feel like we just got here.
We did just get here. And we're going to have to go over slightly because I need to hear, you're a visualizer. Where does your vision say? Go bold, go large.
Go bold. Okay. I have a live record out now that I hope that will do well. If I was to visualize, I would say it's going to do really well.
Yeah.
Because it showcases my live persona.
Yeah.
But then my studio album comes out next year called The Devil I Knew, that I'm making with Larry Klein and this unbelievable cast of characters. And I'm also creating the Modern Songbook. So making a book of living jazz singer-songwriters and just making a new lane for those of us who have
another new lane.
For all of us who felt like we didn't have a place to be, I'm just going to make it for us. So that and a little bit more animal rescue, and hopefully a couple more Grammys.
Nicole Zuraitis, you are an American jazz personality, national treasure.
You're a treasure.
You are a treasure. I just loved every second of speaking with you. And I'm so glad we randomly met all those years ago and randomly stayed in touch.
I know.
Yeah, at the WOW Forum. Wow.
You are such an inspiration. It's really, truly an honor to be here with you. Really.
That's how I feel about you.
I can learn from you.
Oh
truly.
my gosh, you're a treasure. You're a treasure. And you deserve everything because I genuinely, there's no doubt in my mind, you earned it in so many ways. You are an entrepreneurial force.
So kind.
In the real true sense of the word.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Everybody, there are going to be all kinds of links below this episode. I am sitting here with Nicole Zuraitis. Oh my gosh, I just don't even know what to say except I'm in awe. And I've loved every second of this interview, and I really hope you share it with everyone. We've been recording in iconic Manhattan Center, TV2. This is the Silver Disobedience Perception Dynamics podcast. I'm Dian Griesel. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Diane. You are such a force.
Thank you. Please hit subscribe, everyone, and make sure you follow Nicole on every single link I'm going to add below and buy her music. Don't just download it. Don't just share it. Buy it. Because we need to support the musicians of the world that make the world a more beautiful place, like Nicole does. Thank you.